The response to my videos talking about anti-Semitism in the book community have been interesting. And by interesting, I mean the kind of internet interesting, where you stare at comments for 10 seconds straight, thinking, did you just aggressively vibe check the title and start typing? Because some of the pushback, and it's been small, the overall reaction has been brilliant to these videos, and I want to thank you. I'm talking about that tiny, 1-2%. Genuinely just fascinate me. I feel like David Attenborough. You know, internet weirdos in the mist. But no, joking aside. It wasn't disagreement. If somebody watched it and tried to disagree or talk about key points, that's conversation, that's healthy, that's been most of the feedback. It's this immediate leap to stuff, and I'm going to talk about the other stuff that I can't say at this point in the video a little bit later on, but I'm going to start with grifter. That gets me. And it's still one of the funniest accusations that has been thrown at me across multiple years of doing this channel. Because genuinely, if I was trying to grift people, I have chosen the stupidest path possible. Like, less than 8,000 subscribers, talking about books. Yeah, absolute criminal mastermind behaviour. Clearly, I'm just 3 nuanced discussions away from retiring to a private island. I'm going to be real, if I wanted internet money, trust me, I would have gone a very different direction. I'd be doing what everyone else does. Giant colourful thumbnails, exaggerated expressions, red arrows pointing at nothing. Book talk is over! The reading community has collapsed! Thumbnail face looking like someone's just, I don't know, set me on fire. You know those thumbnails, Mr. Beast, we're looking at you. But joking aside, the response taps into something bigger. And this is the thing I keep noticing online, where a lot of people have lost the ability to process complexity. Everything has to be binary. Everything. You're either completely right or completely wrong. You're either with us or against us. You're either saying exactly what people expect to hear in exactly the approved language, or suddenly you're suspicious. And the second you try to introduce nuance, a small number of people short-circuit. You can literally hear the dial-up noise coming out of their brains. Because nuance is inconvenient. Nuance requires thought, which a lot of these comments didn't have. Nuance means accepting that multiple things can be true at once. And some corners of the book world online are deeply allergic to that, which is weird for a community built around reading. You'd think, in any corner of the internet that could handle layered thought, context, subtext, multiple truths existing at once, it would be the people constantly telling you that they love critical thinking. Spoiler alert. Just going to leave that there. Then you've got the what about everyone else game? That weird response when the second someone talks about anti-Semitism, or any issue, by the way, not just anti-Semitism, you see it on multiple videos about stuff, on the internet, on blogs and comments. What about, no, stop. That's not how this works. Me talking about anti-Semitism is not me saying other forms of hatred don't matter. That's such a lazy derailment. It's this bizarre zero-sum way of thinking, where apparently acknowledging one group's experiences somehow steals empathy from everybody else. As if compassion is some kind of limited edition book. I'm sorry, we've ran out. No more empathy until the next print run. It's ridiculous. And honestly, it feels intentional a lot of the time. Not always. Some people just genuinely haven't thought it through. That happens. But other times, most of the time, it feels very deliberate as a way to avoid engaging with what's actually being said. Because if you can reframe someone else speaking about an issue as exclusionary, then suddenly you don't have to confront the actual issue. You just get to act morally superior while changing the subject. Very efficient, very chronically online Reddit moderator posts. Yes, I'm in a snarky mood. Just so you know. Then there's the gaslighting bit. I made notes here. There's this thing the internet does. You say something that's pretty measured, pretty clear, pretty grounded, and people distort it into something else entirely. They react to their own distortion, and that somehow you're the problem for correcting them. It's exhausting. Apparently, saying Jewish people should be able to talk about anti-Semitism, talk about lived experiences, especially what's going on in the world right now, gold is green, we're looking at you, without being dismissed, mocked, or instantly challenged is now controversial. Which is honestly wild. That's not an extreme position, that's the baseline. That should not be this difficult for you people to process. And yet here we are, having to explain that defending your rights to exist is not hate. That speaking about your own community isn't exclusionary. That acknowledging anti-Semitism does not somehow invalidate everyone else's experience. This is not advanced level moral philosophy. This is just entry level human decency. Okay, I'm going to be real. I wrote this section out 5 times because I wanted to be very clear in what I said. And this is a problem that's been going on in the book space since it started. There's this unspoken hierarchy online of whose pain is immediately recognized and who gets interrogated. Whose experiences are accepted on site, and whose come with a demand for disclaimers, qualifiers, and permission slips. That's the bit people don't want to talk about because it's uncomfortable. But discomfort doesn't make something untrue, and maybe if you feel uncomfortable hearing this, you need to check yourself. And I'm not doing this performance. I'm trying to word this in a way that doesn't sound as arrogantly as that was written. I'm not doing the performance some people seem to want. I'm not going to list every injustice on earth before I'm allowed to talk about issues that have affected me directly. People I know in real life. I'm not going to soften it so it feels less uncomfortable, less awkward. I am definitely not going to be guilted into silence by people pretending that speaking honestly about Jewish experiences is somehow divisive. That isn't inclusivity. It's selective silence. There's a difference. Anyway, this is what's been in my brain. And I think it points to a much bigger issue in the community. For all the conversations about books making us more empathetic, more thoughtful, more open to complexity, sometimes the second real-world complexity shows up, it all goes straight out the window. So let's talk about it, because clearly we need to. I'm not going to do my usual spin in this video at all. If you want to know more, there's links. But I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.